How do you overcome stage fright? If you're looking for some strategies and techniques that you can use to be more comfortable on the stage, I created this video just for you. First, I'm going to share how the wrong perspective actually fuels stage fright. Then we'll go over some popular pieces of advice that are just plain silly. I'm going to give you permission to ignore them. Lastly, you're going to get tactics that you can immediately start to use to overcome your stage fright. Let's get started. What is stage fright? Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Obviously, you know it means that you're scared to get on stage or speak in front of people. In reality, all it is shining a flashlight in the wrong direction. We think about our perspectives when we have stage fright. We're thinking about how we look. We're putting the light on ourselves. We're focusing on us. And I understand why we think we should do that, because we're technically the center of attention and the one that people are watching. But the truth of the matter is that speaking in front of a group of people is never about you. It's about them. You're serving them. And so if you take the flashlight, instead of shining it on yourself, you shine it on them, it takes the pressure off. So now you're not thinking about, how do I look in this moment? Do they think I'm smart? Think I'm tall enough? Do they think I'm pretty or handsome enough? Now you're focused on them. You're looking at their faces. You're seeing, are they enjoying things? Do you see them nodding like they understand? Do you see them enjoying what they're hearing? And not everything that we communicate is to be enjoyed, but do they look like they're getting it? Are you getting the message across? Make sure that you're shining the flashlight on them versus yourself. They are your focus. You are not your focus. So I've been a professional speaker for quite a long time now, and I have heard a great deal of advice from people who are not professionals and people who are professionals. And I'll share with you that the two biggest pieces of advice that I hear shared most often are also the dumbest. And that one is, first, picture people naked. I don't know about you, but if I'm speaking to a group of people, and if they were naked in real life, that would be distracting. Whether you like what you see or you don't like what you see, that's distracting from the message. You're not focused on delivering information to them. That's just awkward. Do not picture people naked. That's what pervs do. I don't know who started that, but that's a really bad thing to suggest to someone. Don't let that come out of your mouth. It's weird, okay? Especially now that we're in the Me Too movement. We don't want to objectify anybody, man, woman, gender non-conforming. We just want to respect everyone's bodies, and let's just go ahead and imagine them covered up. It's not going to help us with our delivery to be weird. Don't be weird. Second piece of advice that I hear is to practice in a mirror. That is also a horrible idea, because when you're on stage, guess what you're not doing? Looking in the mirror. When you're in front of a group of people, guess what you're not doing? Looking in a mirror. That is distracting. You've probably noticed since the onset of COVID that people are complaining about getting something called Zoom fatigue, right? They're tired of being on a Zoom screen with other people. One of the elements that's fueling that is that we're looking at ourselves on camera. That is unnatural. There's no meeting you've been to in the workplace where you're in person where you're staring at your own reflection in front of you as you're looking at other people's faces. That is not normal. Now, if you want to critique your performance or see how you're coming off, maybe record yourself, that's fine, but do not practice in a mirror. That is bizarre. That's not natural. And really, it's going to be distracting, because what's happening is you're putting that flashlight back on yourself again. How do I look when I say this? What does my posture look like? How does my makeup look? Do I look tall enough? So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the audience. Looking into a mirror is the direct opposite of that. Do not do that. The next step is to come prepared. One of the challenges when we have stage fright is that we feel like we're not prepared. To be prepared, you have to understand a few things. One, why is the audience there? Now, mind you, you could be a sales manager doing a sales presentation to a potential client. Understand what they're hoping to get out of that. You could be on stage delivering a talk to motivate people. Okay, why are they there? Did they pay to be there? What are they expecting to get out of it? It could be a business meeting where you're trying to motivate your employees. You could be singing on a stage in front of other people in a faith institution. Whatever it is, understand what those other people want to get out of that transaction for it to work. Now, after you understand what it is they want, understand what your objectives are. Are you there for a particular reason? Is there something you're supposed to deliver? Next step is to merge what they want with what your assignment is and deliver on that. But prepare, prepare, prepare. Know what you're talking about, know what you're singing, know what you're doing. One of the easiest ways to prepare is through repetition. So practicing at home. So for instance, me, I practice my talks many, many, many times before I give them. Now, I'm not in a mirror. I'm not usually even recording myself. Sometimes I'm talking to a pillow that's on a hotel room bed. Sometimes I'm at home walking through my living room. Sometimes I'm in my car by myself talking as I'm driving. But the more you repeat it, it becomes muscle memory, so it becomes easier for you to deliver. You're not as frightened because you showed up knowing that you're prepared. So I have many more tips for you, but I have to ask you, do you know anyone else who suffers from stage fright? I'm pretty sure you do, because that's one of the most popular types of phobias in existence. If so, feel free to share this video with them. If you have kids, teenagers, share this video with them to give them the confidence they need to show up and get over that stage fright. Because I'm a professional speaker, I oftentimes interact with other people who are going to speak at a conference who are not professional speakers. So sometimes it's C-suite executives or other team members at an organization, and they have the information the audience needs, but they're nervous because they don't do this all the time. So I'm going to share with you the little sneaky tip that I give them. If I can tell that they're nervous, and they mention it to me, so I don't just go up to people saying, hey, you look nervous, because then that makes me a jerk, and then they're going to be more nervous. So I don't do that. But I've had people actually say, ooh, you look so calm. Can you give me some type of tip, because I'm going up there in a few minutes? That actually happens quite a bit. Whenever I'm asked for a tip, I suggest that they do one main thing, and that is to slow their breathing and slow their speech. Because when we get nervous, we start talking faster and faster and faster, and it makes us more manic. And so I tell them, just breathe and talk slower. There's no race for you to get off the stage. And I say it to them when I'm speaking to them. I actually start speaking slower as I'm speaking to them. And what happens is they naturally mirror it back. And you're saying all I have to do is talk slower. That's all you have to do, talk slower. And then I tell them something that makes them giggle. So years ago, I used to do a lot of television, especially things with news stations. And so when people are newer to television, one of the things that they do to ensure that they're slowing their speech pattern, if they have a faster speech pattern, like me, I naturally speak super fast when left to my own devices. And so people like me, when they first start doing TV, a lot of them will take a sip of wine before they go on air because it naturally slows your speech pattern. So I don't tell those folks to go get some wine before they go on stage. So don't think that I'm telling them that. But I tell them that to make them giggle because they're like, are you serious? And I'm like, that's absolutely true. A lot of people on television drink a little bit before they go on air. But the point is that the goal here is just to slow your breathing and relax. As a power tip for you, that's one of the reasons why I don't drink coffee. Because oftentimes I'm a morning speaker. I'm the one that opens in the beginning of the day. And I don't want to have faster speech. And coffee makes me a little jittery. Like, it gives me energy, but it's jittery energy. I don't want to speak faster. I want to speak slower, because as you speak slower, it also calms down the other people that you're speaking to. So that's a fun little tip for you. Slow your breathing. Talk slower. Sometimes we think that the faster a person talks, the more they'll be perceived as being intelligent. That is not true. Just speak at a slightly slower pace than normal. That's going to help calm you down and give you a little bit more confidence when you get on stage. Here's another one of my sneaky tips. So this is something that I do. In the audience, I look for anchors. And when I say audiences, I've spoken to groups of 12 people. I've spoken to groups of 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people, okay? But I try to look out. If it's, thousands of people, it's harder because the lights are blinding you, but you can see a few faces. You look for people who are expressive. Some people are comically expressive. Like, I'm that person in the audience for some other speakers. I know that for a fact. And if you see that they laugh really hard when you make a joke, or sometimes when you don't make a joke, they're having a good time, or if they look like, I don't understand, and it's really obvious, plug into that person. Now, yes, you want to look around to other people you're addressing, but always plug back to them and kind of direct that energy that way, because they'll lead you on where you need to go. You can react to them. So find an anchor or a couple of anchors in your audience to kind of help you tap into the energy of the room. 2 more tips for you. One of the things that people mention when they think about stage fright is, what if I make a mistake? What if I look stupid? Let me tell y'all something. I keynote for a living. I fly all around the world and I am clumsy. I will trip over my own feet when I am barefoot. So I wear flats on stage, I always have. But yes, I've slipped. I've had to do a tap dance step to recover. I've slipped over my words. I've said the wrong words. Here's the kicker. Perfection is not lovable. None of us feel connected to someone that's too perfect. We might admire them from a distance, but you don't feel any kind of emotional contact. So my thing is that when I make a mistake, I make a joke about it. So I might say, whew, well, I'm glad I managed to not eat the floor. And then they start laughing, or just I make fun of whatever the mistake was. Trying to ignore it is weird because we all saw it. Trying to pretend like it didn't happen and try to be perfect, it just looks more awkward. But making a joke about mistakes, that's something that's lovable. That's something that people connect with because none of us are perfect. So understand that however you're performing, whatever this looks like, if it's in a sales environment, an actual performance, a talk, whatever it is, imperfection is actually what connects people to us. And that actually ran me into my last point, which is do not aim for perfection. Now, if you're delivering a certain type of speech or maybe you're singing a song, obviously you want to do it justice. But in your mind, do not think it's the end of the world if there's a small hiccup. 9 times out of 10, the audience can't tell when you make a mistake anyways. But even when they do, and you find whatever way you need to recover, whether you keep going or make a joke, understand that people connect to things and people that are imperfect. Now, speaking about connecting to people and things, let's talk about connecting to your future, because if you're on stages, you're probably doing it for some type of future purpose. You're going to notice that in the description of this video, there's a link to download the Future Ready Playbook. This is a playbook that is chock full of all kinds of activities that will help you prepare for the future, which may include you being on stage. I don't know. So if you haven't already downloaded it, do so right now.